Hello and welcome to another episode of Life Stuff 101. This is day 12 of the series of mini episodes as part of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. My name is Mio Yokoi. I work as a registered psychotherapist in Toronto, Canada, and also as a coach and supporter to striving, highly sensitive folks everywhere. Before we begin, I'd like to make sure to mention that what I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only and not meant to be specific advice. And for personalized help, questions, or concerns you may have, please consult your doctor or appropriate medical or mental health care provider. Again, welcome to day 12 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. And the day 11 prompt was, it's okay not to be productive during a time of crisis. And if you've been following along with these self-care challenge episodes in real time, you'll have noticed that I did not upload an episode for a few days. It was not planned or intended as part of the day 11 prompt for myself, but I didn't end up being productive, in this case when it comes to producing these episodes. Just to let you in on a bit of my process here, while producing this podcast is immensely important, actually, and gratifying for me, it does take a lot of energy and time. And while I don't know what it's like for other people who produce podcasts, I do know that there are actually many people who do podcasts who work by batching. That is, they organize and produce a bunch of episodes at once. This is something that I'm still working on. I feel like it's a specific kind of a skill set, or maybe some people are naturally talented to be able to do that. But it's definitely something I would like to be able to do. But for me, it is more of a challenge. It's not something that comes naturally to me to be able to do the batching or to be able to do a bunch of episodes all at once. So with these self-care challenge episodes, my process so far has been to take a lot of notes beforehand, and then it takes some time to organize my thoughts, then to record, edit, prepare to upload, which also includes making some graphics, and then uploading. And in an ideal world, I'd also be doing a bunch of marketing around it. But for me, it ends up feeling like a lot, maybe sometimes too much. So I end up concentrating my efforts on producing the episodes and then taking care of the other things I need to do in other areas of my life. And among the many things I'm learning during this process is that I may not be able to produce daily episodes and also keep a sense of balance for myself. So what I've decided to do is to upload the self-care challenge episodes 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays while we're all in the state of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic situation. On Tuesdays, I'll be uploading a full-length episode of this podcast where I'll be having more in-depth discussions with guests about mental health, mindset, and personal development, or a longer solo episode of me diving a little deeper into a certain area or topic. If you're following along daily, I apologize for the change in the schedule. But for those of you jumping in, I would recommend starting at day 1 and then following the daily prompts from there. And it's my hope that by building in some time for self-care, it might also help you to support your mental and emotional health during this time. Or even if these prompts serve as distractions for a few minutes in your day, I hope that can be helpful too. And I also want to make sure to mention in these episodes that at this time in our lives, just getting through moment to moment and day to day in and of itself is a lot. And the self-care prompts are here to support you. So this challenge isn't about productivity or getting things done perfectly. It's about focusing on you and your self-care. If you'd like to be notified when each of these episodes are uploaded, you can either subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, or you can go on over to lifestuff101.com/challenge, which has a list of every episode. So before we do dive into day 12 of the challenge, as I mentioned before, the day 11 challenge prompt was, it's okay not to be productive during a crisis. I sincerely believe that there are many of us feeling right now that we need to be getting things done. There's so many messages and ideas as part of our culture where productivity is held up as an ideal. At the best of times, we can forgo necessary rest and taking care of ourselves because it seems as though getting things done is given the biggest priority. I've noticed that in the entrepreneurial circles, there's quite a few messages like, this so-and-so mega company started up during another time of crisis, or that Shakespeare produced King Lear during a time of plague. I guess it's meant to be inspirational, and to a number of people it might be, but there are also many more of us who are thinking and feeling a lot of individual and unique things in each one of our experiences that might not be conducive to getting things done right now. And personally, I know myself to be, generally speaking, and I alluded to this at the beginning of this episode, I have a burst of energy, and then I usually need to rest. And that's when the conditions are pretty good, never mind at a time like this. So at a time like this, it can take some time for me to process and adapt to change, and then to rest so that I can integrate these changes. And while it can be hard for me to acknowledge that I'm not always going to be totally consistent and productive, I think this is an important time for me. And I also believe for all of us to put taking care of ourselves ahead of the idea that we could be getting things done. I'd love to know how you made it with day 11 in the challenge. How was it to consider the idea that it's okay not to be productive right now and to practice self-compassion to support you through this idea? Please reach out to me on Twitter at LifeStuff101pod, on Instagram at LifeStuff101podcast, or on the website at LifeStuff101.com. Now it's time to get into day 12, and today's self-care prompt is, what are 3 things that make you very happy? Today's challenge is another one that you may consider to add to your self-care toolkit, which we talked about for day 8 of the challenge. Recalling things that make you very happy can help lift your spirits as you're completing the prompt for today's challenge. It can do that by shifting your emotional state by releasing hormones, which are dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. These hormones would be naturally released when you experience a happy moment, but it's also possible for us to intentionally generate them as well. A good number of the prompts during the self-care challenge focus in on this very mechanism. While not all of these prompts are going to exactly work the same way for everybody, if you're able to find the ones that work to uplift your mood, it's a self-care prompt I would encourage you to add to your self-care toolkit. So, what are 3 things that make you really happy? For me, having new experiences and being able to share them with loved ones makes me very happy. Sharing an amazing meal or something really delicious to eat makes me really happy. And our cats, but honestly, any cats really makes me very happy. The self-care prompt for day 12 is, what are 3 things that make you very happy? And here are the steps for today's challenge. Step 1. Set aside 10 minutes today to dedicate to completing today's self-care prompt. Step 2. Before beginning, take 3 slow breaths. Step 3. In whatever way you prefer to express yourself, document 3 things that make you very happy. Step 4. End off the exercise by taking 3 slow, deep breaths. Step 5. Considering adding this to your self-care toolkit. Please share your thoughts about today's challenge, and I'd also like to know how you're doing. Please reach out to me on Twitter at LifeStuff101pod, or on Instagram at LifeStuff101podcast, or on the website at LifeStuff101.com. So that concludes day 12 of the self-care challenge, and as I noted at the beginning of this episode, I will be uploading self-care challenge episodes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thank you for participating in these challenges, and do stay tuned for day 13 of the self-care challenge. Until then, please stay safe and in good health wherever you are in the world, and I'll be speaking with you again for day 13 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge real soon.